No one noticed the bruises at first. Not the executives rushing past with their coffee cups, not the assistants glued to their phones, not even the security guards who saw her every morning. But when Daniel Carter, CEO of Carter & Co., stepped out of the elevator on the 42nd floor, his eyes caught what everyone else had learned to ignore. Dark purple marks wrapped around the wrist of the cleaner as she pushed her cart down the hallway. Her name badge read Mary Thompson. She froze when she realized the CEO was looking at her, quickly pulling her sleeve down and lowering her head. Daniel didn't say a word. He just stood there, watching her walk away, a tight knot forming in his chest. He had built a billion-dollar company by noticing details others missed, and what he had just seen wasn't an accident. That morning, Daniel couldn't focus in the boardroom. Numbers blurred together as his thoughts kept returning to the cleaner with the tired eyes. He remembered his own childhood, his mother hiding bruises beneath long sleeves, whispering lies about clumsiness, while his father raged behind closed doors. He had promised himself long ago that if he ever had power, he would never look away. During lunch, Daniel took an unusual step. Instead of dining in his private office, he walked to the break area used by janitorial staff. The room fell silent when he entered. Mary stiffened, her face turning pale. "Mary," Daniel said gently, "may I sit?" Her hands trembled as she nodded. He didn't ask about the bruises right away. He asked about her work, her schedule, her family. Slowly, her guard weakened. When he finally spoke again, his voice was low and steady. "Someone is hurting you," he said, "and it's not your fault." Mary's eyes filled with tears she had been holding back for years. She tried to deny it, but the words collapsed under their own weight. Her husband, Paul, had lost his job months ago. What began as frustration turned into control, then violence. She stayed because she had 2 children, Emily and Noah, and nowhere else to go. Daniel listened without interrupting. When she finished, he stood up. His next words would send shockwaves through the entire building. "From today," he said, "you are not just a cleaner here, you are protected." Within an hour, Daniel had called an emergency meeting, not with lawyers or investors, but with human resources, security, and a local women's shelter. He announced a new company-wide policy. Any employee facing domestic abuse would receive paid leave, legal assistance, counseling, and secure housing. No questions asked. The room was stunned. But Daniel wasn't done. He arranged for Mary and her children to be moved that same evening to a safe apartment funded by the company. A lawyer helped her file for a restraining order. A counselor began working with her to rebuild the confidence that had been stripped away piece by piece. The challenges didn't end overnight. Mary woke up some nights shaking, afraid Paul would find her. Emily struggled at school and Noah barely spoke for weeks. Mary herself battled guilt, fear, and the deep shame abuse had planted in her heart. But for the first time, she wasn't alone. Daniel checked in regularly, not as a CEO but as a human being. He never asked for gratitude. He never told her story to the press. He simply ensured the help continued. Months later, Mary stood in front of a mirror in a small but warm apartment, wearing a uniform that wasn't gray anymore. She had been promoted to a facilities coordinator, trained for a new role with better pay and daytime hours. The bruises were gone. In their place was something she had forgotten she could have: hope. At the company's annual gathering, Daniel surprised everyone again. He invited Mary to speak. Her hands shook as she took the stage, hundreds of eyes on her. "I used to clean these halls feeling invisible," she said, her voice breaking. "But one person saw me, and because he didn't look away, my children and I are alive again." The room erupted in applause. Many wiped away tears. Daniel stood at the back, silent. He knew the real victory wasn't the praise. It was the reminder that leadership wasn't about power, but responsibility. The story spread, not because of headlines, but because people began to act differently. Managers checked in. Coworkers listened. And somewhere in the building, someone else realized they didn't have to suffer in silence. Because sometimes, all it takes to change a life is one person willing to see the bruises and choose compassion over